Sir, about the crazy ideas. One of the crazy ideas is about aliens too. So I'm sure, pretty much sure that all the audience would love to know your opinion about it. So do you think they exist?
So probably, yeah, aliens perhaps may be there, may not be there. We really don't know. But in the words of Stephen Hawking, if they really do exist, they are probably much more dangerous and hostile than what.
Good evening, everyone. Today we have Mr. Krishna Prasad, and he has been associated with space and defense industry since last 10 years. And today we are going to talk about some interesting topics like outer space, aliens, and even Mars. So let's dive into the outer space world. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Sir, let me tell you that we are very thankful and we are very excited to have you over here. And thank you so much for sparing your time and joining us. So let's dive into the
Pleasure.
outer space world. My first question would be like, why space? Like, why billionaires, entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are investing in space technology? Like, what is your opinion on that?
Sure. So the inherent advantage of space is that it is far-reaching, it is equitable, and then everyone can access it. Compared to, say, a terrestrial network, which requires a lot of infrastructure to be set up. There's no requirement to set up such a large-scale infrastructure for space segments. You have to build a space segment and a ground segment, and the network is far simpler than what a terrestrial network, what it takes to establish a huge terrestrial network. So that is the precise reason. Particularly in countries, there are certain countries across the world where the density of population is pretty concentrated. So in that case, take for example India, where the north part of India is very difficult to reach via terrestrial means. So to connect them to the rest of the world, it is very important to have something like a space network. Take example of Africa, where some parts of Africa are populated, and then you need to connect them to the internet. In that case, instead of establishing a dedicated ground network, if you have a space segment, it will be very easy to connect to them. So that is the precise reason where space has got its own inherent advantages when compared to a terrestrial network. Now, coming to your second part of the question, why billionaires are only interested in space, why not others? You see, space is basically a high risk and high reward business. And the turnaround time for making profits is quite large. Unlike other businesses where you see revenues and cash flows coming very early, probably months and years. Sometimes it takes decades for money to flow into the business when you are in space. And second thing is the infrastructure is expensive, and there is a lot of risk in it. So one must have adequate risk capital, not only just capital, risk capital. That means there should not be any fear of losing, and there should be an ability to absorb losses. So such kind of capital is perhaps available with the billionaires that you named, and some more like Starlink or OneWeb that's coming up these days. So that is the reason why only few people, few cash-rich people are interested in space. To sum it up, because it's a high-risk business and the returns come very slow. It is not possible for everyone to foray into this business.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, when you said about India, like it had me curious, why country like India need space technology? Like We have other issues bigger than these. So why India?
Sure, that's a good question, and probably a question that is common in many minds. Space is one thing where it has got societal benefits. Right? For example, we are a country with huge land mass and surrounded with a lot of land or geographical border. Much of it is land and surrounded by countries which we have to continuously keep an eye on. It is imperative for us to have an eye in the sky kind of setup where we see the borders continuously, and not only borders, even within the country. It is very important to have an eye. For example, when there is a landslide, where there is an avalanche, there is a flood kind of situation, or any other natural calamity that's coming from. Given the vast size of India, it is illogical to set up everything on ground and then try to maintain it. Space is a one-shot kind of approach where you can exactly exactly pinpoint to the problem and get a faster solution. Um, and second thing, our investments into space and our foray into the space sector is totally in line with the vision of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who has focused thoroughly and only on applications of space for humankind. We are probably only into communication segment, navigation segment, and remote sensing and earth observation segments. Much of our space budget allocated goes into this kind of observations only. We spend very little. The figures are in the public domain. We spend very little on interplanetary missions and other things. So it is definitely in line with the vision of our own intellectuals, and also the spin-off created, the technology that is created within space sector is useful even outside space sector. For example, take batteries for electric vehicles, the hydrogen fuel cell concept. These are all actually originally developed for space applications within our own country, even outside the country. But they have got utilities elsewhere in the industry. So it is basically the technology development that drives our foray into space, and the spin-offs as well as the direct applications that we have make it kind of necessity for us to be in space despite our other problems.
Very well said. Sir, I would like to know, like, there are a lot of people who are actually talking about colonizing on Mars. So, what is your opinion on it? Can we actually do it?
That only time can tell whether we can actually do it or not. But the philosophy says so. For example, there is a famous quote by Tsiolkovsky, uh, which says that Earth is the cradle for the entire humanity, but one can't stay in the cradle forever. You have to move out of the cradle. So, logically speaking, that means you got to colonize elsewhere, and perhaps till recently and as on today, the only habitable place is our closest or the next closest celestial neighbor, the Mars. So probably that is the reason why we are very much optimistic about colonizing Mars. So whether we can do it or not is a very complex question, because there are a lot of issues, because the conditions itself are not conducive for supporting human life, and then how do you transport the logistics? I mean, the scalability of current technology has to be much higher than what it is today for that to happen. But as I said, the philosophy directs us to do so. So probably we may end up actually doing so. certain ideas looked very crazy in the beginning. For someone who is listening and has a background of electronics. In electronics, there are something called as semiconductors, and somebody has doped a silicon with a P-type or N-type semiconductor. That would have sounded crazy when that was tried, but then eventually that led to the discovery of transistor, which revolutionized the whole world. The whole electronics today lives on the concept of a transistor. So certain ideas look very crazy in the beginning, but once they take shape, they've got different colors and better level of acceptance after that. So yes, probably colonizing Mars is a possibility in future.
Sir, about the crazy ideas, one of the crazy ideas is about aliens too. So I'm pretty much sure that all the audience would love to know your opinion about it. So do you think they exist?
It's a tricky question to answer because the topic itself is like that, and I by no means have any background in working with or trying to contact aliens, so I really don't know. But you see, if you read the works of Stephen Hawking or people like that, they probably believed life is possible elsewhere as well, and the sheer distances prevent us from contacting them, so they may probably be much more civilized and much more advanced than us, or they may be never existing. So the answer is both yes and no. Yes, but we, or maybe it's like yes and we can't actually get in touch with them because of the sheer distances, or it is possibly we are the only lucky ones to have life on Earth, and we don't have it elsewhere. So probably, yeah, aliens perhaps maybe they may not be there. We really don't know. But in the words of Stephen Hawking, if they really do exist, they are probably much more dangerous and hostile than what.
So let's move to the next question. So, since there are several technologies coming up into picture like machine learning and AI, so what do you think these have role on space? What are their role on space?
Yeah, sure. So that's a very good question, and probably the one which has got the probably very wide applicability. You see, machine learning and artificial intelligence, they are the technologies that can make our job probably very, very simple. Because particularly when we try to design something, we've got to pick from several alternatives, and the several can be hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, or millions of them, depending on the complexity of the problem and the number of variables involved. So if it's a small problem, then it's not difficult to choose the alternatives. But when you have many unknowns, you've got to have a sophisticated way of eliminating the ones which are not suitable for the application. So that can be done. That can be done very easily with tools like machine learning and artificial intelligence. They aid you in optimization process. They aid you in the selection process, and they speed up they help you converge onto the solution very fast. One such example is in front of us, in fact, where the development of COVID vaccine, the vaccine for COVID-19, SARS and virus, has been aided by machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms worldwide. That is probably the reason why it didn't take us a decade to develop the vaccine. It took just a year or a little more than a year for us to come up with the vaccine, because we are aided by a very sophisticated technology like machine learning. So, AI and ML have got that much potential. They can simplify the choices for you. Then you can actually pick up. and in a way they become a parallel brain to you, which can think much faster. Give it enough computational resources, give it a good CPU, good memory, and good number of other computational requirements. It is going to throw at you the solutions much faster than what a human brain could actually work out in reality.
Great. Sir, since you mentioned about COVID-19, we all know that the whole world is suffering a lot, and it has impacted a lot of lives and a lot of different aspects of the industry. So, could you put a light upon like how it has impacted space and the industry?
Yeah, so first of all, my condolences to all those who have lost their dear ones during COVID. It's really a bad situation. Uh, Not anyone would have anticipated it coming. Uh, but yeah, it has affected lives in a far more aggressive way than what everybody would have imagined. It has slowed down things. It has stuck economically. It has shattered lives of several people. Particularly when it comes to industry specific damage that happened, it slowed down several things just because people couldn't come to work. So a lot of budget cuts have happened because the money had to be reallocated elsewhere. And there are a lot of delays in executing projects because of non-availability of manpower. So COVID has changed the way we think, and taught us that we are a very limited species that can do very limited things, and got to be humble, and should not be over joyous about our achievements. And we are kind of limited by nature's aggression. That's what COVID has taught us, and it has definitely affected the thick and thin in some way or the other.
So, what about like astronauts? Like when I was a kid, I remember a lot of my friends wanted to become an astronaut. Do you have any guidance or anything who want to become astronaut? You want to say something to them?
Yeah. When you are an astronaut, you are not going to travel to space with a big team. Okay, remember that you're not going to have 30, 40 people with you. You're going to travel with only 2 or 3 people. Okay, and the fields in which you must be good at are practically unlimited. Like you must be good in mathematics, physics, biology, chemistry, optics, electricals, mechanical, botany, whatnot. You must be good at several things. So you can't ask for a specialist to come and fix a problem that comes up midway in your interspace travel, right? The advice that I have is that try to be good at science. Try to be good at several fields, not just one field. I know it's not natural for everybody to be good at everyone. So the one who is actually good at many fields ends up being an astronaut. Okay. Try to be good at several fields, particularly mathematics, physics, chemistry. Understand science as well. Understand the fundamentals. Be very good at troubleshooting. That's very important. Try to solve problems, fix bugs, and things like that. That is very important. And be sincere and be committed to the field that you are in. You may or may not become an astronaut one day, but your preparation should be, as I mentioned, you must be good interdisciplinary student always. I mean, student always.
It's all about science, isn't it?
Absolutely, you've got to be good at science, and to aid science, mathematics, and also logic, several other things. You've got to be a kind of brave kid trying to venture into all fields.
But like, what exactly they have to do to actually become an astronaut? Like, are there
As
any
such,
exams or anything?
It takes a whole character to become an astronaut. It's not just a qualification that can make you. You got to be physically fit. You got to be mentally agile, and then I think astronauts are people with background in mathematics, people with background in engineering, with science, with medicine. No, the astronauts are from all categories. It's not like there's only one way to become an astronaut. Anybody in any field can become an astronaut. A doctor can be an astronaut. So it's not like there is only one way to do it. Rather. Whatever you do, you must be good at it and extremely good at it, in fact.
So, since we reached almost to the end of this interview, would you like to add some advice or something for the young people who are actually looking into science or who wants to be a scientist?
It's the same point again and again. Be good at fundamentals. Be committed to the field you have chosen to work with. Because in Einstein's own words, if you can't explain something very easily to someone, you have not fully understood it. So reach to a point where you actually will be able to explain a very complex topic very simply to somebody, even to a kid. So that should be your aim when you try to understand and learn certain things. So this simple methodology will make it much easier to actually become close to the subject and then get a good grip of it. So be committed, have commitment towards the field that you have chosen. It could be mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. Or it can be a non-science field as well. It can be commerce. It can be anything. So your own conviction towards the subject has to be very strong, and you got to be very pure and transparent in your approach. And you should be able to answer your concerns that yes, you have put your 100% efforts in trying to understand the subject. I think once you have these little principles as pillars, you are sure to scale great heights.
Wonderful advice, sir. Thank you so much for being here with us. This has been really enlightening, and I'm really sure that you have inspired a lot of people today. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.